Hello, everyone. I'm Chris, the American Magpie. As you know already, we are launching our Patreon. You can become a patron of the show, of the channel, for $5 a month. Also, by becoming a patron, you get perks as well. And this is actually pretty cool. You get complete and exclusive access to all podcasts, including the members only, the new podcast that is only available on the Patreon. In this Once Upon a Time podcast, we're going to be talking about the history of Newcastle United, former players, just a deep discussion into what it is that Newcastle stands for. It's going to be really interesting to get you there, and it's only going to be available on the Patreon, members only. Another perk is you're going to get weekly videos just for you as a Patreon of the channel. Also, a third perk is going to be access to our live watch along on match days, to come on and have your say at halftime. It's always good. You're hot, you're happy, whatever it is, you want to come and have your say, you can do so on match day, at the watch along, at halftime. And the fourth perk is you get your name added into our monthly NUFC raffle 5 times by just being a Patreon, increasing your chances to win prizes such as NUFC home kits, away kits, NUFC related clothing, memorabilia, ornaments, etc. You get a chance to get this stuff 5 times, and you get your name added 5 times. And also, you don't have to be a patron. Everybody's going to be able to participate by just being subscribed to the show, to the channel. If you're subscribed, you get your name added once and you can participate. If you follow us on all social medias, that's about 6 follows right there, including the channel subscription. So imagine 6 plus 5. If you become a patron, that's 11 times that your name can be on the raffle, increasing your margin to win these prizes monthly by a mile. So keep that in consideration. It's always going to be a big deal. But then again, you can also get your name added by following on Twitter, following on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. So keep that in mind. And then the last perk that we got right now is we're going to be launching our merchandise, shirts, cups, all that stuff. And you, by being a member, you get 10% discount on NUFC Insiders merch. So those are 5 perks that are really, really good right now. We're looking to add more, but of course, we got to do it slowly and gradually. Thank you for your support, regardless if you subscribe or not. I appreciate you. If you become a patron, of course, thank you so much for doing so. You can become a patron on the first link in the description. Again, thank you so much for the support. From Chris, the Hey everybody, hallway the lads, welcome to a new show, the match preview, Nottingham Forest versus the great and the only Newcastle United. We're going to play on Saturday, and it's going to be a blast. A lot of naysayers, a lot of negative people, but listen, we got to stay positive. We didn't play. We obviously the Luton match wasn't a good one, but let's take it with a grain of salt. We got to go match by match. Listen, before we start, we're waiting on more people. We got Ian right here. Our NUFC insider Ian. He's our badass. He's just like a bruiser. You know what I mean? He comes on and everybody's got different personalities, and of course we need all of them. But before we get started, I got a few things I need to say while we're waiting on other members of the show to come on. Hopefully Paul will come on. He's got a situation at home, and then Tony is going to be on the show as well. And I'll try to see. I forgot to send a link to Mighty Win, so hopefully we'll get him on. And Mighty Win is another bruiser, man. He'll come on and raise some hell. But first of all, before we start, always remember to like, subscribe. If you're new, you must be a subscriber to chat and interact with us. But you can do that simple. Hit the red button, activate the bell. That way you don't miss out on any future videos, future shows. And I want to remind something about mods. I've made mods, and I've been doing this YouTube for a long time. One thing, of course, help us keep the chat pristine. However, in this channel, we don't censor anybody. We don't, unless they get absolutely out of control. We don't censor anybody. I mean, I'm just going to go with the example of, if they say Eddie Howe needs to be fired, then that is their opinion, and you just have to let it be. We don't censor anybody. Everybody's entitled to have their say. So please Don't block anybody, because if you do, I'll have to obviously take you off the as being a mod. Keep the chat clean, of course, and I just wanted to let you guys know that way you know where we're coming from. We're not a channel that blocks and censors people just because they don't agree with us. So keep that in mind. Also, remember, you can become a patron of the show, as you saw in the promo. Become a patron, support the channel. You get a lot of perks. One of the main ones is, of course, getting big prizes, and the first one is going to be a home shirt at the end of February. We're going to be raffling that to somebody. So, yeah, let's get started. Tony, welcome, brother, and Ian as well. How you guys doing?
Good,
Yeah, not
thanks.
too bad, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, right,
man.
yeah.
Good to see you, Tony.
Awesome to have you guys.
Yeah, mate.
And again, like I said, hopefully Paul will join us. I'm going to send uh, Derek the mighty win. Man, I'm going to regret this one, ain't I? But no, Derek is.
Derek's all right.
No, yeah, he's awesome. He's got an opinion just like everybody else, and again, we don't censor anybody. So, um, I wanted to get all the insiders, as many insiders as possible. But look, we got a match to look ahead. But before that, we have to talk about this. You were talking about it, Tony, on your show, man. I couldn't believe it, but I guess we're bringing up a blue card for on football. I mean, they're trying it out. I guess it's not, obviously it's not been. They have to do trials and all that stuff. But man, it's what is going on through these guys' head? I mean, we have other stuff to be worrying about than implementing a blue card that essentially is gonna work, as everybody used to talk about this. Well, that wasn't a red, that wasn't a yellow, that wasn't an orange card. People used to say that about certain plays. Well, essentially that's gonna be it, right? I mean, the blue card is supposed to send somebody off for a few minutes, 10 minutes. And but what are your let me start with Tony. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier on, basically, I think you should just leave it the way it is. Yellow and red cards have been there all the time, so why change something? If it's not broken, don't fix it. I mean, I look at the blue card and I just think, do we really need this? A third card? Yes, in rugby I have a sin bin, but that's a totally different thing in rugby. Rugby's totally different. But in football, just leave things the way they are, as far as I'm concerned. I think it's a ridiculous thing they're going to do. They're going to trial it in the FA Cup next season and the Women's FA Cup as well next season. Personally, I hope it doesn't get off the ground, if I'm honest. But I guess we just have to wait and see. But the thing is, though, like I said on my show earlier, what will happen is, and you can see the situation happening. So, say for instance, like Anthony Gordon doesn't get a free kick awarded against him, and it was a clear foul, and say he knocks the ball out of play, and he gets a blue card for that, and he
Right.
has to sit in the sin bin for 10 minutes. Then Bruno goes up, or Joe Linton goes up and has something to say to the referee, and then he gives him a blue card. You're then down to 9 men. And
Yeah.
it's like, is that really fair? So, just leave it at the way it is, yellow and reds, as far as I'm concerned. Because, like I see, the blue card is just going to be a waste of time. And, like I see, you could end up with that situation where you could be down to 9 men. And, what I mean, I'm not saying it would happen, but what happens if you've got, say, 5 players having to go to the referee and you end up with 6 men? You have to ban the game, do you? So that's what I'm saying. It could end up being silly. And if you get a second blue card, that's saying it'll be an automatic sending off. So it's like, leave it just yellow and reds, please. Just because somebody's probably been sitting on a Friday night in the pub with our mates and saying, oh, how else could we do things with football? What else can we do? Should we have a sin bin? Should we call it a blue card? Yeah, that sounds a good idea. Yeah, okay, we've had 10 pints of lager, but yeah, we like that idea. Yeah, let's do that. And that's what they've done, And, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
have a bit of crack with your mates down the pub, but please don't bring it into football. We don't want it. Well, I don't want it anyway, but I don't know if anybody else wants it, but I certainly don't want the blue card. As far as I'm concerned, the blue card can have the red card.
Yeah, it's a pretty yeah, I do agree. It almost seems like they just got together at the pub and said, "Listen, how we're gonna change this up." But Ian, what do you think, man? I mean, I don't know. I'm the one that thinks just football was invented a million years ago. You don't have to try to change it all in 1 year. In one, and I know the VAR has been probably 5 years, something like that, or but you get the point. I mean, you don't have to. It's all these rules, man. They're just confusing everybody. What do you think?
Yeah, well, VAR has been a resounding success, hasn't it? You know what I mean? Like they should have learned from the mistakes. Um, I think it seems to me like there's these people sat there getting paid a lot of money for doing not a lot, and they've got to justify their existence. That's what it looks like to me. So they're coming up with new and ingenious ways of cocking the game up and making it and slowing it down. In effect, all it's going to do is slow the game down. You're setting someone off for 10 minutes in rugby union, for instance, where there's 15 players on the pitch. The difference doesn't, it makes a difference, but it doesn't make as much difference as it does in football. I think it opens up the floodgates as well for people, conspiracy theorists, like
Yeah,
the tuna beating, let's say Liverpool, for instance, and then suddenly two men get sin binned or one man gets sin binned, and then they give 12 minutes additional time at the end of the game for no reason, and it's just a load of rubbish for me. It won't work in football. It will slow the game down. As soon as you've got a man sin binned, if you're in the league, you're just going to waste time anyway. Players will be going down injured left, right, and centre to get rid of the 10 minutes. How are they going to do it? I don't know. The only way, like it works in rugby, but they stop the clock in rugby as soon as the ball's out of play. The clock is stopped. Well, are they going to do that in football now? You're looking at when we go to away games, if you've got an 8:15 kickoff in the evening, you'll still be there at bloody midnight by the time you get out. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, really. So it'll probably lead to more injuries as well, because there'll be players coming
yeah.
off who then aren't warm or aren't at where they need to be, and then they'll be coming back on, and there'll be additional muscular injuries. So yeah, for me, it is just a complete and utter farce, and I hope it falls flat on its ass straight away, because otherwise they will bring it in, just like I say, to justify their existence.
Well, I think one of the positives, if I mean, if they listen, they're going to implement whatever they want, whether fans like it or not. We've seen it throughout life, but I guess the positive thing is that they mess up so many plays that, for instance, if they were to give a red card to somebody that didn't deserve it, which they do all the time, they could use this blue card to kind of, if they're in doubts of what it should be, they can use this blue card. Even though you lose the players, unjustified for 10 minutes, at least you don't lose them for the whole match. I guess that's a positive way to look at it. But Derek, what do you think about this, man?
Well, there's a couple of things from what Ian's just said, actually, because I've been an advocate for a long time now of a 60-minute ball and play stop clock, similar to American football, where you play 30 minutes each half. The average, if you look at the last 5 seasons now, ball and play time in Premier League games is give or take a couple of minutes either way, an hour.
And it's usually less than 60 minutes, isn't it? Anyway. So.
Yeah, that's right. So that, to me, stops all time wasting. And a public clock where everybody can see it.
Right.
So that it's pointless wasting time, because you're not wasting time, because the clock stopped until the ball's kicked back or thrown back into play. It's stopped, which would avoid the time wasting when the player's got the 10 minutes. Now the sin bin, I think, could be a good idea, but you don't need a blue card. Just make the first yellow a sin bin, because that would also have the added advantage of, right now, when you see, loads of players surrounding the referee and shouting in his face and all that, the referee just got to get a yellow card out and card them. And if they know 3 of them are going to be off their pitch for 10 minutes, they'll stop doing it. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it might be
Right,
the issue might come to the fact that we've all seen that there is a natural, like, whether it's a bias or whether it's I don't know, you can't think of another word. It's a bias usually in it against like what they would class as what they actually call the smaller teams against the bigger teams. You see, like, you know, the way that Klopp goes on and Liverpool go on when they surrounding the ref. You know, when I think the last time we played them, they had about 8 men around the ref screaming in his face, and then Miggy got a yellow card for not even touching a player or something. I can't remember. I think it was Miggy after him.
Yeah.
And you just look at it and think, if it was utilised properly, I could see your point of view. But for me, it's a no-go for me. But I can get where you're coming from. But I just think it opens up a whole nother world of pain for teams that aren't favoured. Let's say if it's not a bias, it's not cheating. Maybe aren't favoured by the officials and the league.
I mean, it's a common held belief, Ian, but I don't necessarily think there is a bias towards the big teams. I think every team, including us, of course, think that VAR always goes against us. And there was many instances last season that VAR cost us points. There was no doubt about that.
We got it the other way as well.
But the same could be said for the big teams as well. I mean, Klopp was up in arms about the Tottenham game that they played. Well, that was them, albeit against another top 6 team. But I think that's. I don't think there's a conspiracy.
Sorry, go on.
No, that was it. I don't necessarily agree that there's a bias towards the big teams.
I think it's not a
could be a chip on our shoulders, I think.
Yeah, I do think that the what their class as the bigger teams get the rub of the green. I know, like, there's been ex-referees that have come out and put it on record, and not been sued, that the PGMOL has come out and said to favour the richer teams in 50-50 decisions, and that's actually, that's referees have actually come out and said that, and high-profile ones that we all know.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, no, it's true. That, honestly, well, I'm saying it's true. That's what's alleged, So, and if that wasn't true, and it, there wasn't proof of it, why is the PGMOL not took them to court? Because you would think that's been put in writing. It's and
what about 10 minutes for a first yellow instead of bringing in a new card? Just 10 minutes for a first yellow.
I just think we'd end up with no place on the pitch. In derby days and stuff like that.
But do you really? Do you not think that there would then be under far stricter instructions from the manager, etc., not to get involved and get those 10 minutes?
Yeah, but like a player like Joelinton, and who plays like he's to be fair, he's been a lot more restrained. But he plays with his heart, and if he sees his mate getting kicked, he's going to kick someone else. And I just think for me, it's.
Well, that's against the rules.
The game. Yeah, no, I get it. It's for me. I just think it'll sanitize the game and it'll slow it down. I can't see it working unless maybe if there was. I wouldn't want it to replace a yellow card, definitely, because that would be if you give yellow cards out,
that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
I mean,
Tony, go ahead.
To be honest with you, I don't think sin bins would work in football, if I'm honest. Keep it to the rugby, as I've said earlier on. I said in my show earlier on as well. Keep it to rugby. You go back to last season when we played at Old Trafford and we drew 0-0. Remember when Ronaldo scored when the referee stopped the game? And how many Man U players surrounded that referee? He should have booked a lot of them. But this is the problem.
Yeah, that's the trouble. The referees
if you had that situation last season at Man United, and would the referee then have pulled out loads of blue cards and sent all them off? I doubt he would have, So the sin bin thing, I think, is a stupid idea, and I think just keep it the way it is. Football's ran lovely with yellow and red cards for all the time it's been going, and don't change it now. Don't change it now. The only thing I would say is on the VAR situation is what I said earlier on, is the semi-automatic system works a hell of a lot better. We saw it in the Champions League. We saw it in the World Cup at Qatar. It's absolutely fantastic. But, the big six, as they so-called themselves, did not want it in the Premier League. And the thing is, this is why we're seeing offsides take so long to be looked at, where if you've got that semi-automatic system, it doesn't take half as long. And it's got to come in from next season. It has to.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Of course, they're always it might not even happen, but actually, I'm going to say that it will, because if they're already trying it out, I mean, you can tell some things might happen, and of course, there's going to be adaptation to that, and there's going to be mistakes, and people are going to complain, and Liverpool's going to ask for a replay, and it's just going to it's going to get all that stuff is going to happen. But listen, we got to talk about the match preview, of course, this Saturday at what time in the UK? It's 11:30 here. That means 6 more hours.
5:30 p.m.
5:30.
5:30. That's odd, isn't it? For me, this well, I don't know. I think the week after that, the match is at pretty late, really late, if I'm not mistaken. The one with Bournemouth.
Chelsea's 8 o'clock.
Oh no, Bournemouth. Well, Chelsea. Why Chelsea? Well, FA Cup? No, FA Cup. No. Why do we have Chelsea?
No,
That's March.
the Chelsea, the new time for the Chelsea game's been.
Oh, they changed. Oh yeah, that match is way later after Wolves. That's 3 p.m. That's 9 p.m. UK. Wow, I've never had that time before. That's late. I mean, not for me, but for you guys, it is. Is it? Yeah. Well, I mean, they're just changing the times and.
Yeah, or as some Arsenal fans see on Twitter, we get the cushy TV kickoff times. Apparently, according to the Arsenal fans, we get a cushy all the time. Apparently, yeah,
And
right.
even the Blackburn match too, 1:45. I've never had a match that late. Arsenal 2 p.m. right there. Yeah. It's wow. I didn't notice that, but man, times is a different thing. It's a different subject. Rather said. I mean, it's just tough. The people that have to go to London on that match. I mean, imagine you won't be. I couldn't imagine them trying to drive back home.
Oh, sorry, you can't drive back home, of course, but there's all
right.
public no trains. So anybody who's going on public transport has to have an overnight stay in London, and all the cost that entails. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Poor fans. But let's talk about the match this weekend against Nottingham Forest. We definitely need points. Let me see where Forest are at. 16th. We're 9th. 33 points for the Magpies. I mean, we need points if we want to get to that European football, objective. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy with Forest. They got a good ground, a loud atmosphere, and it's going to be tough. So I want to get everybody's take on this. Let me start with Ian. Ian, what are you thinking, man, on this match? We're going to talk about again the Burn situation, because even though the mighty wind doesn't like to talk about it, it is what it is. It is a subject right now.
I don't mind talking about
it. It's whether it's, and we're gonna go with the poll that we put up on the channel. A lot of people voted, and it's pretty tough, Derek. So you might want to close your ears on that one. But Ian, what do you think, man, about this match? How can we beat the all powerful Forest?
Well, the all powerful Forest, I think, if the stuff I've read is correct, have lost 5 of the last 6 home games, so they're not that powerful. We were rubbish against them. Chris Wood, who couldn't hit a barn door at 3 paces when he played for us, scored an hat trick, which was, to be fair, 3 really good goals as well. He took them well, but he's out anyway. I know they took Burn apart that game, but my issue with it is if you ask me who I would start personally, I'd start Tino. I would have done since the start of the season, because I always saw the Burns lack of pace. I think Burns is a great centre back, and for me is our second choice or third choice, if you want to call it that, centre back. I would play him at centre back all day if either Shara Botman were injured. But for me, I like a wing back with that's more offensive, so a full back that can get forward more. But there's certain games where Dan Burn has no doubt when Trippier goes forward, Burn drops back and they turn into a back 3, which is it's part of our tactics. Burn saves us a lot with his aerial prowess, and he's done so many last minute tackles that I can remember. He's a good defender, but that's what he offers you. You get nothing more than his defensive work. He can pass the ball, but he is a defender. So for me, I'd play Tino. If you ask me what Eddie's going to do, Eddie's going to play Dan Burn.
Yeah.
And Eddie's the manager. And do you know what else it is? Every time everyone kicks off about Dan Burn, and I'm included, the other day, I was just like, what the is going on? Why? You know what I mean? I'd have hooked him at half time, bloody. Generally, when Dan Burn has a shit match, the next game, he has a 9 out of 10 and he's one of the best players on the pitch. And then everyone's going, oh, Eddie's right.
Yeah.
So it's just one of them where he unfortunately for him, he does see his backside when he's against pace and he doesn't have support. And that, for me, is the reason that I wouldn't play him, definitely wouldn't play him at the moment when Big Joe's out, because unfortunately we haven't got the legs in midfield. Big Joe can get up and down that midfield. As much as I love Miley isn't the finished article yet. He's brilliant going forward defensively. He lacks a little bit of pace for me. And he can't get back in time, and he maybe doesn't read the defensive side of the midfield game as well as he will do in 2 or 3 years' time, which is because he's 17 years old. You know what I mean? You can't expect him to be able to do that. That comes with maturity and experience. Bruno can only do so much, and long as he's on the other side. So the reality is, if you've got a winger who's not tracking back and the centre midfield can't get back, and Dan Burns, is deficient in pace, he is going to be exposed and he's going to struggle. You see what happened for the last goal. He was trying to make things right for his cock up for the penalty. He wasn't even in the picture. You couldn't even see Dan Burns like when they scored. He was so far out of position. So I think Dan Burns' days for me as a left back for us, I would say I would get Tino in, because Tino can do the defensive work. He's got the pace. He can also get forward, but Eddie won't do that.
Tony, Chess brings up a good question. We all agree that Burn issue is a big talking point, but we all agree that Eddie knows more than we do. Is there a hidden reason why you think that Burn is played ahead of Livramento? What do you think about that?
I mean, look, last season, Dan Burn had a great season in that defence, because that defence was great last season. I think Eddie has him in there for his height, and like Ian said, and he's absolutely spot on. When we want him out the team, or we see he's having a bad game, the next game he comes back and has a stormer. And I think he'll start against Forest on Saturday. I really do. I don't think Eddie will drop him. And it wouldn't surprise me if he scores and we go on and win that game and he gets a man of the match award or something out of it, and everybody will be like, oh, we slated him last weekend, but this weekend he can't do any wrong, Right. We've seen that often enough with Dan Burn. But obviously Eddie sees something in Dan Burn that he thinks, yeah, he's got to be my left back starter, But
do you know what he's got? He's got heart and experience and that, and
yeah,
and he's a massive influence on the team, and that's what he's got. Not saying that Tino hasn't got an influence on the team on the pitch, but I like as in playing wise. But I think that's probably what it is, Tony, I reckon.
And the fact he's a Geordie as well, and he knows what it means to play for the club as well. He knows what the badge means, and he stood on the terraces as a youngster, so he knows what the club is all about. So that probably falls into it as well. But it's probably just one of those players that hardly lets Eddie down, to be fair.
Well, I would say that he's one of the players that tries to not let Eddie down. But when he is played in a position that's not his, then there's nothing he can do. I know that Derek is looking at me and piercing me with his eyes like a cyclops. But but
I mean,
but
the thing is, I think he lost. I mean, I don't know about you, but do you reckon?
Go ahead, Tony.
Do you reckon, Ian, since he got that injury against Arsenal when he come down on his back, do you reckon he's lost a little bit of pace after that? Because I think he has.
I don't think he ever had the pace, Tony, if I'm being honest. I think
but he's lost a bit. He's lost about a yard. Yeah.
His recovery runs seem slow at the moment. I've got to admit. Like he used to, I used to say to Tommy, he's like Inspector Gadget. Like you'd go Gadget leg, and his leg would just keep going forever, and just nick the ball. There's been less of that recently. I've got to admit. But
but okay. I mean, it's your turn, Derek. Go ahead, man. Tell me what you think.
Luton Town. Dan Burns off. Livramento has replaced them. Last minute, the winger skins Tino exactly the way he skinned Dan Burn, put a perfect ball across, should have been knocked in. They cocked it up. They would have won 5-4. And their winner would have been down to Tino, because he got skinned exactly the same as BDB got skinned. That's one little thought. The one good thing about Saturday is that we're not having to face the mighty Wood, because apparently he's injured. So,
Mighty Wood.
well, that's a blessing. I don't know.
Well,
and Gibbs White as well.
But I mean, listen. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. By the way, Billy Trey is coming on the show, and
I'm going if Billy's coming on.
Well, if Billy heard enough of my nonsense.
You're going nowhere, Ian.
But I will show you the poll, and I don't think. Have you taken your aspirin today, Derek?
I'm not taking me aspirin. I don't need aspirin to defend BDP.
Okay, well, I want to show you this. I want to show you this one. You know what? Let's wait until. Let me show you right now, and see what you think. Right now on the community of the show, you can still you can vote. Of course, come back on the show and watch. But 86%. I asked this question: should Eddie keep playing Dan Burn, or should Eddie play Dan Burn versus Forrest? 86% voted he needs to be benched, and with an exclamation mark at the end. And 14% said yes, show him loyalty. So, I mean, the Magpies are pretty divided, Derek. I mean, and listen.
Well, they're not pretty divided. They're pretty much all on one side of the same floor.
Well, you're right. You're right. You're right in that. But I mean, you have to admit. I think if we meet in the middle and we say, listen, if Eddie wants to play with 3 center backs, then let them play like Manchester City with 3 center backs, and you can have a winger, so you can have a right back and left back.
Then who do you drop to facilitate the 5 men at the back? Who do you drop?
You have to drop somebody if you want Burn so bad. I mean, let me welcome Billy Bob. How you doing, Billy?
Good afternoon to everyone. Good evening to everyone in the UK.
Hi, Billy. All right.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Big up. I mean, I'm trying to reason with the mighty Win, Billy, and he doesn't want to let go of Burn, man. He's proper Geordie. Just because he was born in Newcastle, all of a sudden he needs to play.
That's not why I want to keep him.
Well, look, I mean, Dan Burn didn't have the greatest game last week, but there are reasons for that. I mean, lots of times you see Sven Botman put out fires for him. Last week, Sven Botman had a poor game. Didn't cover for him. He was one of the 6s and 7s at times. So he's left-footed for one. He gives us more width playing as a left back, and yet you see him pulled inside, but he covers the aerial balls. I can see the point for Dan Burn, but there's certain games where I can't see the point for him, and that's where we're battered with pace like we were last week. And I think Nottingham Forest will be the same on Saturday. Do I think he'll pick him? Yeah, I do, because I think he trusts him. I think he gives him votes of confidence, and when he does, Dan Burn comes through with flying colours. So, it's a quandary whether he picks him or not. But he's kind of, as Tony or Ian said earlier, when he does have a stinker, he comes back with a fantastic game. So, there are reasons to defend him for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like, again, if we meet in the middle and we protect him a little bit, make him be a center back, play as a center back, with Botman and Shar, instead of being all the way on the side and having to go forward. And remember that second goal, I believe it was the second goal by Luton, that he was playing center forward. I mean, he was all the way up front. He wasn't even in the play. So
he was in the center circle.
Yeah. I mean, he can, and obviously it's also the player. I mean, Eddie doesn't have to tell him, all the time. Listen, you don't need to be all the way up there. You got to have some common sense. But 86% voted that he needs to be benched. It's wild, man.
I can understand it. I can understand it, but I can understand the other argument as well. I mean, Derek defends Dan Burn fantastically every week, and he's got a perfect right to, and I agree with him for a lot of it. But there's always that Rick in him, and he's a great defender.
But there's always that but.
Yeah, he's a great defender. But as Derek said, all fullbacks get skinned from time to time.
No, but come on now. I feel like we're being oblivious to the fact that Burn is 11 feet tall and he just can't keep up. It doesn't matter how many times you put him on the pitch.
If Tino Livramento was a natural left footer, I think he'd be starting week in, week out. But he's not.
Yeah. And again, a lot of fans want to see Livramento. He showed us a positive side of his game against Manchester United in that Carabao Cup. We've seen glimpses of what he could be. He's played at right wing as well, I believe, this season, and he is an option. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, the Burn debate, we had it before with Elanga. Well, we're going to play again against them, but we had it with Nottingham Forest. We had it previously. I mean, and then he played well against Aston Villa, and nobody talked about it. So it's game after game, I believe. But I mean, Billy, how do you think we're gonna? And I'm gonna go back to Tony as well on this. How do we beat Forest, man?
I think we've got a bit better in attack. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I just think it's one of them games where we have to score one more goal than them. I think that's basically how it's going to turn out. We've got a great attack. It's probably better than theirs, and it's how well the two centre halves defend. If I'm honest, our centre halves, not theirs, because I think our attack will create chances against Nottingham Forest. We've got the quality in the middle of the park. If we can get Bruno on the ball without too much pressure on him, I think we can create problems for them. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think we'll score more than them. Sound like Kevin Keegan, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
that means we're going to lose.
Absolutely not.
Tony, man, I think we cut you off in mid-sentence, or I didn't ask you that question, but how do you think that we're going to, what do we need to do to be able to beat Forest?
Put the ball in the back of the net for a start, us.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like they're without Gibbs White as well, so that's going to be.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got injured last night apparently.
Oh, excellent.
That's what I've heard anyway. So don't know how true it is, but apparently he got injured last night. So
is that on X?
No. I'm on the WhatsApp groups I'm in. Somebody on there said they heard it from a Nottingham lad that he got taken off with an injury. So we're not sure what that injury is. Whether it's might have just been a precaution. Who knows? But definitely, if obviously they'll have no Wood on Saturday, and they're going to have if they've got no Gibbs White, we're just going to have to make sure we're on our game. But look, let's be honest, Forest, they're not a great side. I mean, I watched their game last Sunday against Bournemouth, and to be honest with you, Bournemouth should have beat them. Should beat them comfortably, to be fair. But I'm going to say it'll be a tough game regardless, because Elanga, we know what he's like. He's quick. Hudson-Odoi looks like he's getting back to the player he was when he was at Chelsea. And he's getting better with every game he's playing for Forest. And I think for £3 million, that's a hell of a bargain.
Still,
if they can get him back to his best, he'd be worth it 10 times that probably. But yeah, I think it'll be a tough game. I said this about Luton as well. I said that would be a tough game. And a lot of people underestimated Luton. I'm not underestimating Forest. I mean, at home, they're not a bad side. They've got their crowd behind them. But look, we went there last year and won 2-1. It was a difficult game, but we done it. We beat them. I think we can go down there and get the 3 points again, as long as we play our game and we don't give any silly mistakes away at the back. We should see this game comfortably, like we did against Villa. We showed Villa for what they really are. Chelsea went there and spanked them last night. So, everybody's going to be copying what we did against Villa.
I think we're better suited to playing away from home at the minute because we don't go all out press away from home. We're better defensively because not all the midfield are winning up and trying to press the goalkeeper and the centre halves. So we have a bit of cover at the back. So I think the away kind of system suits us more at the moment.
Nice to be on a roll now, isn't it?
Which is crazy because 2 weeks ago we were like, well, actually no. I mean, exactly. I guess since Sunderland,
Eddie Howe's clearly made a tactical little twerk there. People criticise him for not learning, and I've done it myself. But there's obviously a little twerk that he's done in the tactics away from home.
Yeah. I was gonna. I didn't want to interrupt you, Tony, but yeah, I mean, we said the same thing about Luton, and again, it's not. I don't want to get Luton fans against me, but it's not that they're not good. I don't want to overestimate them. You know what I mean? They are a good side, and they have been competing against bigger teams, and certainly I'm assuming that they do prepare for bigger teams in a different way. They want to beat them, but at the end of the day, most of those big teams, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, it was a tough match for them, but they didn't lose. At the end of the day, they got the score, and so I think that the criticism for last week's result is, it should be allowed because obviously we didn't perform well, and it's not that I think that Luton played well, but I think that we made mistakes that we shouldn't have made. Dubravka made a bounce that we shouldn't have made.
Better than they were. That's a certainty. They did play well, but we made them look good.
Right, exactly.
Going back to the Forest. I mean, look, I watched that. Like I say, I watched the game last Sunday. And Reina came on for them, Giovanni Reina, and he didn't look too bad. He had, he didn't play too bad at all. And I mean, I remember when he came on at St James's for Dortmund as a sub in the second half. And I think if he finds his feet in the Premier League, I think he'll be one heck of a player. But so Forest might have got a good deal on loan till the end of the season with him because he looks a bit of a player, to be fair.
Right. I agree with Vane. He's a good player. However, I'm not as convinced about the goalkeeper, Mr. Sells.
Oh, I hope they play him.
He is playing last week.
That's why I'm glad they signed him.
Is anyone going down or?
He couldn't catch crabs off a riddled shithouse seat. He could.
I bet he's going to get some stick off the fans on Saturday, though.
I'm down there, Tony. Are you going?
I'm not, mate. No, I'm not going. But Forest signed him for £6 million, believe it or not.
Where is Forest located in? Pardon my ignorance. I'm never
Midlands. It's the other side of the country to where Billy is.
250 miles.
That's what I was about to ask because I feel like I saw the map and didn't I see Coventry nearby?
East Midlands.
It's about 80 miles from here. Yeah, about 80 miles from here. Maybe less, maybe 50.
You could go, man. You could go.
I wouldn't want to walk it.
Yeah.
Now me and Tommy are going down. We're going on the trip. 10 o'clock bus. Looking forward to it.
Go out there and have a picnic, hold hands, and have a good time. But I wanted to show you just for a possible lineup. I mean, there's not much. Well, you know what? We got Harvey Barnes now. We got a few players back, but I wouldn't expect them to be starting yet as far as Harvey Barnes is concerned. Even though Barnes is looking good. I mean, that first game back. I mean, he's definitely looking good. But would you guys? Would this be? This has been the lineup that Eddie has been playing for the most part. So
there'll be no Isaac, will there? It'll be
Isaac. Gordon.
That is true. That is true. So I'm gonna take.
Wilson be back.
I'm hoping Wilson starts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will.
Wilson will start. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Even though Wilson, wasn't really doing much against Luton, so keep an eye on that.
I thought he had a good game. I thought he.
No. I remember when we did a show. You know him. He's a friend of yours.
I am biased where he's concerned, but he looked hungry. He looked up for the fight. He gave their centre halves a hell of a go. And I think it'll be vital against Forest.
He was a pain in the arse, wasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is. He definitely is, and he is your friend. So I wouldn't expect you to say, to criticize him. But a player that last week, I mean, I'm sure Longstaff is going to start, but not a lot of people that I watched praised Longstaff. He scored twice, but they still say, most fans say, yeah, he scored, but he didn't. There's something missing. He's not the long stuff that we know from last season or maybe the previous season. So where is Barnes coming in this team? Where would be, because we know he's coming at some point. He's going to be a starter at some point. Where can it even? I think Billy, you told me you didn't rate him.
I wasn't a fan of him. What I saw of him last Saturday was unbelievable. I thought he had a fantastic half. He was outstanding. Yeah. He lacks pace for me. He didn't look the quickest, but he's got a fantastic technical ability, which gives him a couple of seconds advantage. So not as important as to have the pace. I don't think he starts yet. I don't think you can take him out, put him in the team for Gordon. I think he's had that much of a layoff. I think he may come on a bit early this week, or maybe rest Gordon a bit, maybe 55, 60 minutes and get him in from there. But I don't see him starting because of the layoff he's had.
Yeah. I would assume this would be. Do you guys think this is going to be the lineup? I mean,
if Gordon's fit.
Yeah, if Gordon's fit, that's the big one.
That's true.
If Gordon's not fit, Murphy will be in, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Murphy. See, I wouldn't.
Murphy will be on the right.
But if Gordon is fit, but Almiron, when Gordon was fit, Almiron a few games he didn't play. Obviously, I think he was sick, but Murphy didn't do a bad job. So,
well, I think if Gordon isn't fit, I think Barnes will start.
Yeah, I think he will.
I think Barnes will start on the left and Gordon on the right.
So we're going to just for the sake of saying he's hurt, we're going to put Barnes there. But would you guys play, honestly, if you have to choose, both are healthy, do you guys choose Almiron or Murphy at this point?
Well, I would choose neither. If Barnes and Gordon are fit, I would choose neither. I would play Gordon on the right and Barnes on the left and Wilson in the middle.
I'm with Mikey Wood.
Yeah, I think
if they fit. If
they're fit, and then it's good to have Murphy and Miggy come, as alternatives to come off the bench.
I agree.
They're much more. Both them players are much more effective for me with the pace and their they can change a game. We've all slated at different times Murphy and Miggy, but them coming off the bench would be a viable option, and that injects a lot of pace and a lot of guile and a lot of a lot of effort into a team. So if you could get 60 minutes out of Barnes, which it all depends on his fitness, I would play Barnes from the start. But it's whether they reckon they can get that out of him, because he's not played for so long, apart from his second half last week.
Yeah, I mean,
and then if we did play that strong three, and hopefully take a lead, you've then got the option of bringing Tino on, playing the three at the back, and bringing Tino on for the Taylor and Barnes.
So you see,
if we've got a lead to hang on to, put the five at the back, and then Barnes would be your takeoff.
But you see how, I was so used to not having anybody other than 11 players that I would just.
That's right.
But now you guys, Tony came up with an option. You came up with an option, Billy. So I'm like, we have options now, especially in the up front. We really can switch a lot of players, and like Win said, you can even put Livramento there as an option, which I think it would be one of the last options to.
Well, it was against Villa when we were getting leggy and we were dominating the game, but you could see the players' legs were going, and we went to a back five.
Yeah.
We were still effective, it did work. It was a plan B, which people always slate Eddie for not having a plan B, wasn't it? For me, that worked perfectly.
The problem is he's short of midfielders. He's really short of midfielders. And when Lewis Morley runs out of steam, which he inevitably does, and fair play to him last week, he got a second wind. But against Villa, you could see him waning as the minutes.
You could see it, Billy, when he's tracking back. He was, he's trying his best. It's not the kid's fault.
No, of course it's not. He's 17. Yeah, he's 17. He's not got the bundles of energy yet. I mean, when I was 17, I was doing all sorts, but nothing to do with football.
I'm not telling you what I was doing.
But I mean, Lewis Morley's just a talent. And he's not an athlete yet, but he will be. Absolutely.
Yeah, he will.
He needs filling up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I mean,
He's to
the
get on your
Athletic are
diet,
reporting
Billy.
that,
What, beer and kebabs? I don't think so.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, the
fucking
Athletic
hell.
are reporting that Gordon will miss Saturday's game, but he should be back for the following game. It's a
I think
precautionary
that's
measure
more realistic.
that he misses.
If we risk Gordon, Tony, bring Gordon back and he gets injured long term, we are
We're screwed.
buggered, aren't we? You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we've proved that this season. If you keep on relying on the same players, they're just going to get injured, and that happened time and again with us.
Let's do the score predictions. I mean, you know, we've talked a lot of nonsense, but we gotta get in there and put it on the line. You have $1 million, and you have to give me your predictions. If I had $1 million, I wouldn't be doing this, but yeah. Let me start with Billy. Billy, man, what is your prediction? Who is going to win? I have to ask you. I mean, obviously, I haven't gotten a prediction against Newcastle yet. Everybody thinks we're going to win every game.
Well, it's going to be. I said earlier, it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'll take us to win by the odd goal in 5, 3-2 to Newcastle.
3-2 Newcastle. That's a dangerous score, man. That's a dangerous score. Who do you think? Okay, I'll do the man of the match later, and let's do the scores first. So, Tony.
I think we'll win the game. It may be a tough game, but I think we'll have enough to win it. I do think Forest will score, but they'll only get one goal, so I'm going 3-1 Newcastle.
3-1, man. You guys are very confident. Okay. Ian.
Well, I would like to say more than that because Matt Sells is in goal, but you know what will happen because we've had this in the past where we've had keepers at Newcastle who've been absolute dross, like Dave Besant. He was terrible for us. Then he went to Chelsea, and then I remember I was at St James's Park when we played Grimsby Town back in the 90s when Keegan was manager, and we'd won like 10 in a row. And he had an absolute belter game that day. He saved everything. We could not go past him, and they scored right on the last minute. Jim Dobbin was the scorer for Grimsby. There you go. But yeah, he had an absolute belting game that day for Grimsby Town on Nottm, and I just thought, you know, why weren't you that good when you played for us? So I reckon Matt Sells could even have a great game on Saturday, believe it or not. But I'm still going 3-1.
Damn, Beer is giving us Forest 3 and Newcastle 3. Man, that's
Sells hat trick. Top man biking.
I've own goals.
Are you giving them some sticky in?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I'd agree with the scoreline 3-1. I think we're beating 3-1. I think Callum gets a couple. I thought he looked all right actually last week when he came on. I thought he did all right. He was putting himself about, but it doesn't. You know, as much as he gets injured very easily, he also comes back very quickly because he's that used to being fucking injured, and he, you know what I mean? That he comes back strong quickly. So I'm going to go 3-1. I'll tell you my goal scorers after.
Yep. Mighty win.
I'll take 1-0 now. Dan Burns from a corner.
Dan Burns for 40 yards on the volley.
Dan, but see, I knew you were going to say Dan Burns, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a tight game, and I would like if we could get a game a goal late in the first half, and then let's see Eddie prove he's got a plan B and do what we said, go to 5 at the back like he did against Villa, and see where that gets with. That would be my plan.
So you said 1-0?
Yeah, 1-0.
1-0, man. I
hope it isn't though, Mighty win, because my arse will be twitching for the whole of that second half.
What's that, sorry?
I said I hope it's not 1-0 from before the half time. My arse will be twitching for the whole of the second half.
Oh, I don't know.
Be biting onto the seat, man. Yeah, I mean, but I'm glad it's past bedtime for UK folks. You know, they listen to Ian. But I would say 3-0. I think we're gonna get 3-0. I think literally we got to contain the powerful, the powerful Chris Wood. We got oh no, is he hurt or no?
He's injured. But I warn you, he's 10 times better than he is, and he will be playing.
Yeah.
And 1 year, yeah, he's a good player.
But so, like, what do you guys think? Because people, after he scored a hat trick, people were saying we should have never sold this guy. We should, everybody looks good when they when they they leave and whatnot. But what are your thoughts right now? I mean, hey, we have Callum Wilson only really as a center forward. But Billy, what do you think, man?
He doesn't suit the system at Newcastle United.
Correct.
He doesn't hold the ball up particularly well for big man, and he didn't for us. The ball would bounce off him, and we were back defending again. He needs someone up with him to play, and Newcastle don't play with two up front, so he never suited our system. I don't know what we bought him for, to be honest. But
yeah, he either needs someone playing next to him or number 10. Just behind him.
But I mean, you can't fault him for his effort. I mean, the game against Chelsea home last year with his press was outstanding. You couldn't fault his effort, and yeah, I have fond memories of him because he did well for the team in limited appearances, but he wasn't really a Newcastle United player of that system. Absolutely not.
And he knocked that little prick out against Everton in the tunnel, allegedly.
Yeah.
But I mean, because Tony, when I ask people, what do we need? We need a second striker. Well, will we get a sub? Because you got to get a sub for a striker because Isak is going to be the starter. But they're like, most people say, well, we need somebody, kind of like a Chris Wood, that just big and comes in, for the header and all that stuff. But but then why would we ever let him go? And like Billy said, he just didn't fit the system.
No, he didn't fit the system. That's the thing, and but he's doing well for Forest, and good luck to him there. But he was never, he was never the type of player
because Forest offered us a shitload of money for him. That's why we let
him go. Yeah, and we duped them as well because we said after 3 games, and he played the first 3 games, and then that was it. It was activated, so he had to sign for them. But, good business by the club. But, yeah, I mean, look, he didn't fit our system really, but he did well for what he did for us. And, he helped us in that season when we were struggling. And then didn't do an awful lot last season, really. So, yeah, it was the right time to move him on. But, look, I think in the summer we go for another striker in the summer. I mean, in my opinion, I would have been quite happy bringing Marcus Leonardo into the club, but Benfica got him for 18 million euros, and that looks a snip because he's playing some good football for them at the moment.
Yeah. Man of the match. Who's gonna be the one that is the player that takes us to the promised land in this match against Forest, Billy?
Well, for us to win, I think we need to take control of the midfield. So I'm going to say Bruno, and he's the best player on that pitch. He will be the best player on that pitch, and if he can stamp his quality all over it, which I think he can, then he'll be the reason we win it.
Yep. Tony.
Oh, man of the match. Do you know what? I know this is going to sound weird, but I want to say Harvey Barnes because he's probably going to get the goal and assist. And with being ex-Leicester, Leicester and Forest hate each other with a passion.
That's true.
And I think he'll celebrate like mad if he scores against the Forest, especially in front of the Forest fans if it's in that Trent end. Yeah, so if he does start Harvey Barnes, I'll go for him, man of the match.
All right, Ian.
My first instinct was to go Bruno. But since Billy went for the easy option, I'll
he is man of the match every week, in my opinion. Anyway.
I know. Great insight, Billy. Thanks for that.
You can still do it. You can still pick him. Pick him then.
I think Bruno's going to be key to it. I see Wilson having a really good game though. And I think Wilson gets a couple on not tomorrow, on Saturday. Sorry, and so I'm going to go Wilson.
Well, Callum Wilson, okay. Well, but that's easy too, man. That's like saying who's going to score the goals? Callum Wilson. Well,
exactly, Chris.
He's the striker. Who's going to get the most? Option. Who's going to get the most stops in the match? With Dubravka? No shit. I mean, who else is going to get stops? Derek, what do you think?
Well, I hope Billy's right because I think if Bruno turns out to be man of the match, it means we'll win the game. because that's where the game's going to be won and lost in the middle. So if
Agreed.
Bruno gets man of the match, whether I think he will be, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Trips is due a blinder.
But I mean, what? With all due respect, what can I love Trips. I love Trippier, and I know that people were losing their mind when he was about to leave, and rightly so. He's an important player, but he's a right back. Other than a free kick or a good cross that somebody could. I mean, he was great for Aston Villa, you know, but. I expect more in the midfield. I need Bruno, but sometimes Bruno is, he's worrying about doing everything, defending, running, tackling, crossing. He's doing everything in the midfield because, with all due respect to my majority brothers, Longstaff is not pulling. Is not doing his end of the job, his end of the bargain. I mean, in the last few games. Again, sorry, Derek. I know you and the gang are going to be upset at me, but I haven't been seeing it for a long time. But so that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why I think Bruno is trying to do so much, and also
he's not been up to his usual.
But that is the reason why he's struggling with these sanctions and possibly missing games, because he's trying to do it all. And obviously, the young Louis Miley, he's a young lad. He's still learning where to be on the pitch, how to help out, and do all that stuff. And so it almost feels like Bruno is by himself at times, and that's where we miss Big Joe, because Big Joe don't mess around. He'll flip anybody on his ass. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean that's the truth. I mean, I remember when we lost against Tottenham, he just came on and he said, "I'm gonna flip somebody just because we're losing." Bam. And I don't know who the player was.
If you're saying Longstaff's not pulling his weight, and you want an argument with me, you'll have to find a different subject, because I'm completely on the page with you there.
Yeah. Okay. If he hadn't scored the 2 goals, honestly, if he hadn't scored the 2 goals in the last game, his performance for me would have been a 2 out of 10.
That's
absolutely right, Ian. I agree with
you.
Yeah.
He has been up to his really high standards, and how much we missed him when he was injured. Previously he's come back, and he needs to pull his finger out of his arse for me, because we really need him now. When we've got no other options, he needs to get back. Whether he's still got that lingering injury or whatever, I don't know, but there's something not right.
I think this is the whole point, though, Ian, that because he hasn't got any competition, it's the same with the Wolves, the same with Mickey. When Mickey had Murphy breathing down his neck, he upped his game. When we had Isaac and Wilson fit, they both upped their game, because they knew if they didn't, they'd be off and they'd be getting replaced. And that's exactly the point, that at the minute Sean and even Miley hasn't got anybody putting any pressure on his players. The team picks it. Well, the field picks itself.
Yeah, it's a subconscious thing more than anything, isn't it?
Apparently, Willock was seen in the training picks today. If he's getting close to a return, I think you'll see a better Sean Longstaff. And I think this game's made for him, because his energy is his best part of the game. And if you see him covering every blade of grass, I think we win the game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got the prediction lineup. We got to predict the scores. We got the man of the match. Hopefully, everything happens for Newcastle United, because obviously we want to win. We are right now 9th in the table. It's not looking good if we want to make European football. 33 points. We're literally 11 points away from Tottenham. And we still got to climb and get West Ham, Brighton, Manchester United. So it's going to be a battle, but I think that we still got time and we can do it. We're going to
there's 15 games to go.
Yeah.
But to me, Forest and Bournemouth, if we are even considering Europe, Forest and Bournemouth are must-win games.
100%.
If we don't get 6 points there, we can forget all about Europe, other than via the FA Cup.
But Derek, that's what we said before Luton. That's what we said before Luton. We got to get Luton, we got to get Forest, we got to get Bournemouth, and then Arsenal is going to be tough, but we can still get it. But at the end of the day, those matches were important ones. And I will say this.
But the Luton match was mitigated by the Villa win.
Oh, yeah, right. You can look at it that way, but the players need to look at themselves and say, that's all good and well. We can use that as a way out. into the mess that we put ourselves in with Luton. But regardless, we made mistakes. We screwed up. The goalkeeper, you need to know this is basic stuff. You need to know where the bounce goes. I mean, you can't give it. You can't. That was basically an assist for that goal. And then, of course, Dan Burn. You gotta watch out. I would assume that he's going to play against Forest in the same position. So, but he's going to have to tell himself, look, I need to be careful and I need to stay back and do all kind of the same thing that he did against Aston Villa. Even though when Bailey came on, he was struggling a little bit.
Well, the thing that bugs me about the penalty that Burn gave away is
that's true.
Him outside the box. If you're going to foul him, pull him down outside the box.
Exactly. He shouldn't have put himself in that position, to say the least. But
don't keep tickling him until he's inside the box and then let him fall over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always thought.
The thing is,
go ahead.
If people had said last week, right, out of Villa and Luton, you'll get 4 points, people would have said, oh, yeah, that would be great. We'll take 4 points because we know Villa's hard away. But obviously the results were the opposite way around. That was the difference, you know. I mean, yeah, when you score 4 goals, you should be...
At 4-2 down, Tony. I'm telling you now.
But yeah, we did well to come back. We could have won that game. I mean, you know, we could have won it. Harvey Barnes was unlucky not to get another goal, but yeah.
But let's not forget, we've also got to play the teams around us. A lot of them are at home. West Ham, Brighton, we've all got to come to St James's Park. Tottenham, they've all got to come to St James's Park. And we've still got to play Man United away.
Playing that well.
No fears with Man United away. The hard one to me is Chelsea, because they can turn it on as a flick of a switch.
You don't know who you're going to play against.
You don't. No. And how do you kind of cater for that? You can't, can you?
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago during this run, I said, look, the way the season's gone, I'll happily take 7th place now because it's a European place at the end of the day. Yeah. And that's a competition we can win. So, you know, but if we get 7th place, I won't be disappointed this season.
Well, even if we get against one of the top 5 teams.
Liverpool and Man City in the cup final, it's European football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
And I'll be going to Wembley as well.
True. I mean, if we
let's hope Liverpool and City meet each other in the next round.
Yeah,
we've just got to avoid them, haven't we? Avoid them too.
Look, we had a great show. It's been unbelievable. Thanks, Billy, for coming on, taking the time. Tony, Ian, the mighty Win, Derek. By the way, tomorrow, legend Warren Barton is going to be on the show tomorrow at 11 p.m. It's going to be a little bit late, but hey, you guys don't have nothing to do, so you can come on. You can come on. It's the weekend. We're gonna have a blast. We're gonna have a blast talking to him. He lives here in the United States, in San Diego, California, and it's gonna be a blast. Again, we've been blessed on this show this week. Of course, we had Nobi Solano yesterday. What a legend, man, and down to earth. You know, just like any other guy. So it's been really good. On Saturday, we got the match reaction. Right after the match. Later on, we got the American Magpies at 11 p.m. with John O'Hare and Superfan Dan. It's going to be things are looking good for the channel, and I appreciate all these guys' support because they are really making it happen. Billy, Tony, Ian, Paul Clark as well, Mighty Win, you know, all of you guys. Steve Reyes has helped me a lot as well. So I appreciate everybody. This is a nice community that we're having, you know, here. So I'm just grateful that you guys have let me in and that we can continue to do this. So I appreciate everybody's support. Like the stream if you haven't already done so. Subscribe if you're new to the show, and we'll see you. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. You know, hopefully we'll get there soon. But we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Bye, lads.
See you later, lads.